All right. I think we are up and running at this point. If you are here live, welcome, welcome. If you're watching this later, welcome, welcome as well. That's the beauty of video. So today is part 2 of Awakening the Observer. That's the theme for this week in the Healing Haven. And I think it's really helpful and important for us to talk about and get more into what this means. So when I first started reading, hey, Jennifer, how are you? So hi, Carissa. So there is a chat function. There we are. Hello. So I'm probably not going to actually use the chat function as much because I'll just speak. But by all means, please, if you have questions, if you have reactions, like that's what the chat function is for. So I'm glad you all are here. So I was just saying that I think it's really important to talk more and really understand what awakening the observer means, right? And that's this idea that we are not our thoughts, we are not our feelings, we are something bigger, we are something more expansive, we are something infinite. And so we're having this human experience where we think and we feel and we behave and we do cool things and we get ourselves into trouble. And it's like all part of the human experience, right? But I have a deep belief that like we're way, way, way more than that. But when we get that confused and we align, we think that what we're thinking is who we are. We think that what we're feeling is who we are. That can get us to a pretty dangerous place pretty quickly. At least it certainly does for me. I think it's obvious that that's part of what's happening in the world too, right? We have all these thoughts, and if we're like, that thought is true, or that thought is representative of who I am, it like can become a problem because our brain produces some crazy thoughts. Yes, exactly. I know you feel me, Jennifer. So when I started first really learning and like reading about like the power of thoughts and like we're not our thoughts, we're not our feelings, like Eckhart Tolle is really the first person I started reading. And he's a prophet and a genius. And he also feels a little inaccessible to me because it feels like he doesn't ever have feelings. Like he is so in the present moment and he is so detached from his thoughts that like he doesn't have feelings. Like something feels like something terrible could happen to a loved one and he would be like, I am in the present, and in the present there are no problems. You know, that doesn't feel accessible to me. It also doesn't even feel desirable to me. So where I'm coming from and what I want to practice here with you all right now is this idea that observing our thoughts and feelings is helpful, right? It helps us detach. It helps us create a little bit of space between what we're thinking and what we're feeling. And then do we react or respond, right? And the space is, thank you, Carissa. The space is the biggest thing there that allows us to choose a response rather than just react, right? That's all true and well and good. And I want to make sure that we are making room for feelings because, surprise, feelings are meant for feeling. And I know that sounds silly and but I think a lot of us struggle with that, where instead of just feeling whatever the feeling is, we immediately again go to our head, which is where most of us live. And we're like, well, that makes me crazy, or I'm an idiot, or I shouldn't feel that way. And like we start to create this whole narrative, which like, right, which in Buddhism, they call that the second sword. The first sword is just like life, which means like shit's going to happen and it's not going to feel good. And like, it just is, right? Painful stuff just is. And it's okay to feel that, right? The second sword is what we do with it. And it's like all the stories we tell about the pain, all the stories we tell about the suffering, all the stories we make up about who we are because of the pain. That's the second sword. And that's the thing that is like bad, right? So If feelings are for feeling, what I want to practice today, and this is really quick, these lives with me are just really quick, and this is what I do anyway. So I'm like, why not just do it with you all in community? But this is the idea of actually entering into our body, which is not a thing most of us do. Most of us are up here and our body follows along. It's like a good little compliant body. It just does what it needs to do. It drives, it walks, it talks, whatever. But we're not actually in our body all that much. So this is an opportunity to be in your body. So I hope you have like just the tiniest little bit amount of privacy and that you can maybe get in a comfortable position. Whenever I'm trying to get in my body, I always put my hands on my body, that because my mind is very busy. So putting my hands on my body helps me anchor into my body. So I'd invite you to do that if you have the space to do that. We're going to be here for, 9 or less minutes at this point. So very quick. If it feels comfortable to close your eyes, go ahead and do that. If it does not feel comfortable, you can just gently fix your gaze at some point in front of you. And I just want you to start to notice the breath. What I'd like you to do is actually follow the breath in. So we don't have to control how you breathe. However you're breathing is just fine. So whether that's coming through your nose or your mouth, just follow it in. So for me, it would typically come from my nose. So I would take a breath in and I would follow the breath down through my esophagus, through my lungs, and I would feel it fill up my diaphragm. The diaphragm is this muscle right here that sits above your stomach and below your lungs. So you really expand your stomach and your chest. Feel that expansion and then follow the breath out. Feel the deflation of your belly, of your diaphragm, of your lungs, that leaving your mouth, leaving your nose, and just follow that breath. I'm going to be quiet for a moment. So you can follow that breath as a way of entering into your body. And as we enter into our body, our brain doesn't love that. Our ego specifically is like, wait, I'm not in control. La, 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 la. So it's okay. That's what brains do. Just notice whatever thoughts are coming up, whatever stories your ego wants to immediately start spinning. And you don't have to push it away, but you also don't have to engage it. You're just focusing on your breath. You're focusing on your body. If you need a little bit more grounding, you can also maybe notice your feet on the ground, your butt and your legs pressed up against whatever you're sitting on, your back and whatever is supporting you. Maybe your arms are hanging or your elbows are on a rest. Just notice your body. And as the thoughts come, just notice that too and come back to your body. And as you're noticing your body, I want us to do a little scan, starting with the top of our heads. And just start to notice, what do I feel in my head, behind my eyes, on my face, in my jaw or my mouth? What do I notice in my neck, my shoulders, my arms, my hands? What do I feel in my throat? Ooh, and for me, I immediately feel tearfulness. So for you, I'm going to keep going. I've been crying all morning. I'll come back to my tears. But for you, when you notice something, tearfulness, tension, rage, sadness, whatever it is, I want you to notice. And if you have the space, I'd love for you to let yourself feel it. I've been feeling it all morning. I will come back and I will feel it after this. But for me, when I go to my throat, whew, I'm immediately feeling tearfulness. And that's okay. So let's keep going. I want you to notice your chest, your solar plexus. That's that space right in the middle of your body where so much of our life force sits. Go down lower into your belly, into your pelvis, your hips, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your shins, your ankles, and your feet. And here's the deal. If you notice something, just get curious about it. We don't have to stop it. We don't have to dive in if we don't want to. We can simply be curious about it. We can open our arms to it. We can make space for it. We can invite it to be here. We can let it know that all parts of us are acceptable and welcome here. And here's what I need you to know when we're making space for parts that are hard, for parts that don't feel good, for parts that are uncomfortable. I'm doing it right here in real time with you. We don't have to tell stories about why it exists. Okay? It's very, very easy, again, as a way for the ego to take back control, and it wants us to be up here and it wants us to have control. Not because it's bad, it's just how it works. It's part of being human. Our ego is going to want to tell stories about it. It's going to say, well, this is about all the horrors of the world. Well, this is about our new president. Well, this is about what my boss, partner, mother did. Well, this is about what I experienced in my past. It's going to want to tell so many stories. It's all a distraction. It's not to say it's invalid. It might be perfectly valid. It might be 100% of what's going on or a fraction. It doesn't matter. What matters is creating space for it. What matters is acknowledging it and welcoming it. That's what matters. So stay with it. Because I'm here with you all, I'm not going to let myself completely sob. I have, and I will continue. But for now, I'm going to modulate the response a little bit by breathing. So if that's what feels comfortable for you, if it feels too scary to feel it in all of its bigness and depth, that's okay. You can breathe. You can tap. I love this one. You can actually tap your face. Again, this isn't woo-woo. This is science-based stuff. I'm not going to go into it because we've got like 1 minute. But you can tap certain parts of your face. You can give yourself a hug. You can get a blanket. Bonus points if it's weighted. These are all ways to modulate the intensity of the experience because you get to be in control. Okay? So, this is a 15-minute thing. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Who wound up joining us? Oh, Carolyn. Lovely to have you as well. I hope this is a tool that you all can use where we don't have to hide from our feelings. We don't have to intellectualize them. We can observe them. We can take notice of where our attention is. Is that where we want our attention to be? Do we want to place our attention somewhere else? And when a feeling or an emotion arises, because all emotion is energy in motion, it just wants to be in motion. We can let it move through without telling tons and tons of stories about what it means, because that keeps us hooked in it. Whereas all emotions want to do is be in motion. So let it move through, be a channel. You are not the emotion, you are the channel. It is the electrical impulse, literally moving through. Let it move through. And you can mitigate it to your own comfort based on the amount of time you have, the bandwidth you have, how much privacy you have. You can mitigate it through breathing, through tapping, through changing your environment, through moving your body, right? So I hope this is helpful. I know it's been a really, there it is again. It's been a tough month. It's been a very challenging week plus. I'm sending love to all of you. Hang in there.